Recording in progress.
All right, let's get round two, class two of our standing Qigong. I'm going to bring in the hands and talk about the chest and shoulders. All right. So, to begin tonight's class, let's talk about a few concepts first. And don't just sit there listening. Move along, feel the concepts with me, so do the movements. But we're not going to sit down into our Qigong stance the whole time whilst doing it. Otherwise, you're going to be standing there for half an hour with your knees bent. For most people, that's going to be too much. So what we're going to do is talk about a few certain principles and then sink down and apply that into our standing Qigong. So last week, just to quickly recap, not that we should need it because we've done those practice classes, remember? So, we talked about finding the sweet spot in the feet. We talked about just bending the knees very, very gently, nothing too extreme. And we talked about keeping the hips nice and loose through here. We talked about this sort of slinky effect, just everything nice and all the joints nice and loose, and just generally standing in an upright kind of position. Okay. So what we're going to look at today, I'm going to start with the pelvis. What I want you to feel, again, without going into too much sink. Well, we need to sink a little bit to feel this. If you stand upright, so lock your knees right out, okay, really straighten your legs completely. You'll feel in your lower back here, put your hand in your lower back, you can feel that your bum's a bit stuck out. Shouldn't be like this, of course, but even just no matter like a perfectly balanced, good, healthy body, should still have a slight curve here in the spine. Now, when you bend your knees, if you think heavy thoughts, relax your hips. So just do that sort of slinky movement. And then slowly bend your hips down and relax the back here. The bending of the knees obviously pulls the legs up like this, not to that much of course, but they're bending up, the hip is flexing. That lower back is going under, you see, because when the thigh goes this way, the pelvis rotates, it tucks under. Now that may not happen for you naturally if you've got huge tension somewhere, such as in your lower back or in your hip flexors. So a lot of people, they stand and they're holding so much tension in the body, when they bend their knees, nothing changes, you see? But that's not natural. When your knees bend, the shape of your pelvis should follow this. A lot of people get confused here because when you read an anatomy book, you talk to a chiropractor or physiotherapist or whatever, and you say, they're always talking about the back should be curved, okay? And it should be, yes. The back should be curved, like I just said before. But they're all talking about standing upright, not squatting down into your position, okay? For example, when we do weight training, when we do weighted things, deadlifts, all of these kind of things, we flatten out the lower back. Flattening the lower back is an extremely important ability to have. It should happen naturally, but most people have lost this ability because of, sitting at computers and doing all this unnatural stuff. So this is all I want you to try to focus on right now. Put your hands on your very lower belly, just on top of your pubic bone there, and into the small of your lower back there. And I want you to play around with straightening the legs, and then slowly, before you even start to bend the legs, I want you to think, heaviness. Wriggle your body around a little bit. Get the hips to be loose, the sacrum to be loose, the pelvis to be loose. And then as you bend your knees a little further, it's starting to tuck under a little bit. It's still a little curved as I bend it further. The lower back flattens. That's how the back should sit. Now, a lot of people will say also, oh, but I have a naturally curved spine. That's just me. It's like people who say, oh, I naturally squat like this. That's why I don't squat with my feet parallel. No, it's not because it's naturally you. Yes, there are differences from different people, of course, but not to that extent. If you can't squat with your feet parallel, there's a problem with your hips, with tension in your hips. I mean, I always say there could be a 0.1% of people out there who genuinely have some weird bone structure from their genetics that stops them doing certain things, but don't automatically think that that's the reason, okay? Because it probably isn't. It's probably tension somewhere through the muscles when you're standing here. So, if you stand up, you'll feel the little curve come in. If you sink down, feel that curve go away. Coming back up, feel that curve come in. Sinking back down, feeling that curve sink under. Flatten it out. If it's not happening for you, if you're finding that you're doing this, you're bending the knees and the back is just locked in position, then you need to coax it into position. You need to help it along the way. So you can use your hands first, rather than really forcing it into position. We want to just begin to bend the knees, but as you bend the knees, just kind of do like this. So draw up with the front hand and down with the bottom hand. As you bend your knees, like you're pushing your sacrum down and under. There's not much, it's just a little bit of pressure. You've got to obviously push in a little bit as well, and then kind of go like this. And then if it's still kind of like, yeah, it still feels like it's a bit stuck out, then try tucking it under. Try engaging your core here and physically. Now this is way too much. I should never do my standing Qigong like this. But by tucking it right the way under, really stretching out that lower back, you're releasing the tension, you're mobilizing the back, putting it through its full range of motion. If you can manage a full squat, that's a great thing to do because that really stretches out this, but a lot of people can't. So then relax. Probably your bum stuck back out when you're relaxed. Tuck it under. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And relax. If it's still stuck out again, do it again. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Really tuck it under. Push from your glutes, pull from your lower abdominal muscles. Stretch that area out and then take an in-breath and just relax everything on your out-breath. Now hopefully that's caused this area to flatten out a little bit and loosen up. You feel your back muscles feeling a little more soft in the position now through here. Now keep in mind, in order for that to really let go properly and flatten out, you've got to bend your knees to a certain degree. If you're only bending your knees this much and expecting it to go under, it's not going to happen, not without force anyway. So we need to sink low enough that the back completely flattens out through here. Now, of course, don't go the opposite side of the coin and say, okay, my bum's still sticking out, I'll go lower, I'll go lower, I'll go lower, I'll go lower. Well, obviously, no, that's not the problem now. If you're only bending your knees just a little bit, the problem may be just that you need to bend the knees more. But if you get down to kind of a decent bend, like sort of knee, you can see there, like my knees are roughly in a vertical line with the front of the toe. That's your sort of rough guide as to how deep you should be in your stance. It does depend on the length of your foot, of course, but it's a rough guide. I usually do it with my knee just a little bit further than my foot because I'm quite tall but have relatively small feet. Comparatively to, say, my father, who had much longer feet than me, but he was shorter than me. So the alignment is different. Anyway, yeah, make sure you are sinking all the way down. And hopefully that flattens out perfectly, aligning the spine, aligning everything for your Qigong. But if it doesn't, you need to tuck it under a little bit. Now, coming back into doing our Qigong now. If we try to stand in our Qigong stance, and we don't yet have the correct alignment of the body. So let's say your bum's got a little bit of a stick out. Okay, you bent your knees, you're still just a little bit out. It's better to be relaxed and heavy with a little bit of a curve than to stand here and go, now, I'm just using tension to hold it in place. That's counterproductive. So what you want to do is, like we've just done, you can use tension to try to lengthen out the lower back and loosen everything off. But that's not a good way to actually do your Qigong. Okay, so you want to, before you start Qigong properly getting into it and doing long periods of time, 10, 15 minutes, you want to at least get your body to a point where it's close to the correct alignment. It doesn't have to be perfect in order to start. But if, for example, you bent your knees and your body looks like this, and you go, okay, that's as far as I can go. No, you should not be doing Qigong, right? You should be working at something completely different, right? You need movement through your body to mobilize your body first, okay? If your body is that stiff, you first need to mobilize before you do static Qigong meditation. That's very important. But if you're just a little bit off, then that's okay. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Just a little bit of that. I'm not going to do myself a damage. I'm still going to get some nice energy flow, still some nice stillness from it. And with time, hopefully it will relax under. Now, whilst we're standing here in our Qigong stance, if we feel that the pelvis is a little bit tilted down, you can do what we were doing earlier and just engage here and push from here and tuck it under. Really tuck, 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 like too much tuck. So you feel that stretch and then relax it back. And always go for that slinky test afterwards to make sure that the hips are nice and loose, nice and relaxed. And as you're standing there, you might feel that over time your bum starts to creep out again. So give it another stretch. Tuck it under. Stretch, 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 stretch. And then relax. Okay. Now, usually the culprit here is hip flexors. It's the most common thing. So doing some good hip flexor stretching. So I'm not going to go through stretches here. I'm just teaching Qigong in this class. But just simple, you know, these kind of things. Just pushing your hips forward, really getting it, not down into the quad, down through here, but figuring it out to, there it is, stretch up through here and up into the body, because the hip flexors are not just in the leg. In fact, they're mostly up here. So we need to get this kind of thing, like so. Okay, so putting the focus here around the top of the hip when you're stretching. So doing some stretches like that before you do your Qigong is a really good idea. Strengthening your glutes is also a really good idea. Activating your glutes, because that'll help to balance everything out. Usually tight here means weak here, as a general rule. Yeah, but the basic precipice that I'm trying to put across here is we want to get this nice alignment, but we don't want to force that alignment to happen. We want to just guide the body into that alignment. So if you're not in the correct alignment, then you need to start stretching, and maybe even some soft tissue release as well. You know, grab yourself something like this, or something like this. Get on there, that doesn't really work there on that part of the wall, but you know what I mean. Get it in wherever it's sore and push it in, or on the floor, lay down into it, sink down into that movement and try it like that to get that soft tissue releasing, okay? So we've got to get rid of this tension here. Okay, so let's sink down into our stance now. We'll go a little bit deeper tonight, if you can manage it, in order to attempt to relax this lower lumbar spine. So we're going to actually do the Qigong now. So find your sweet spots. Do your little slinky tests every now and again. Keep everything relaxed. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed and back. Just none of this hunching forward stuff. Lift your chest. But of course, if you already have a very, very lifted chest from a tense upper back, maybe you look more like this, then you need to sink the chest. It depends on your structure. So we want to have a neutral chest. Most of the classics say to sink the chest. But that's only because back in those days, most people had this problem. So we had to sink the chest. Most people nowadays look more like this. So we've got to lift the chest. Let's do the Qigong with our palms, lower back around that sacrum area and around the lower dantian here. So we can give a little bit of an upward pull from the front hand and a little bit of a downward push from the back hand. Just using your arms to help guide the pelvis in. This is what I do with people when I'm guiding them personally and I'm there physically with them. I'll place my hands on them and do this same thing with the hands. Works much better when someone else is doing it for you, but it can still be quite effective doing it on your own. I want you to particularly think as you inhale. So obviously your belly expands when you inhale. This applies a little bit more stretch, a little bit of pull down the front here, right? So it's quite common that as you inhale, you stick your bum out. So you arch the back, getting rid of that nice straight line. So particularly on the inhalation, I want you to think, use your hands and guide that tailbone down into the ground on the inhalation. Still allowing your belly to fully stick out. Don't try to tense it and hold it in or anything. But what this will do is it will actually cause a little bit of inflation, a little bit of a pulse in the back. It's not just your belly which moves when you inhale. Your entire lower lumbar region pushes out and in as you breathe. But that will only happen if those muscles down your back, in the lower back, are loose. If they're not loose, they're tight, they're not going to allow any expansion to happen.
Eli, we've lost the picture. Well, I've lost the picture.
You've lost the picture. Has anybody else lost the picture?
That's okay, it's back now.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. It's on.
No, it's not. Lost the picture again.
We're going to finish off now anyway. So let's just close off the Qigong. Just like we always do. Just to finish things off. Losing the picture. That's strange. I'm seeing myself. So the camera's working. Did everyone lose the picture then, or was it just...
It just changed over to another person which had the microphone on. And if you have the microphones on and you're not talking, then suddenly this picture's the first one.
Okay. No, you've got to set... If that's happening, you need to click on My Screen, go to My Screen, click on the 3 dots, and click Pin that screen. If you pin that screen, My Screen, then when other people speak or whatever, because sometimes, if you've got it set to speaker, it'll bring on big screen the person who's speaking kind of thing. If you put it on gallery setting, up in the top right corner, there's view. You can click on speaker, gallery, multi-speaker, immersive. There's different options there. So you want to put it on gallery, so that's locked to everyone on screen. So you should be linked on gallery, but then pin My Screen, so that'll make me bigger. And then you won't get any interference from anyone else, because that can sometimes happen if you've got it on the wrong setting. So.
Now we know.
Yes.
Thanks.
No worries. All right. Were there any questions about that with the pelvis? All good. Fantastic. All right then, guys. Well, I'm going to go off and relax for the evening. And tomorrow is Thursday, so we've got Bagua in the morning, leg training in the day. Oh, no. Yeah, Bagua in the morning, Qigong practice at 7 after Bagua class, leg training at 12, and then Qi development tools at 8. So lots of fun stuff. Have a good evening, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye.